In today's economy, cash flow is tight, and families are held captive to high interest rate credit card debt. Churchill Mortgage can restructure your current mortgage and significantly reduce these problems. Get a free analysis and learn how to eliminate credit card interest rates, lower bills, and start taking control of your budget. Get started at churchillmortgage.com. This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org. Equal Housing Lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
Come unwrap some holiday magic this season in Denver, where the lights are brighter and the shopping is grander. The shows are more spectacular, the trees taller, the festivities merrier. So come for your holiday traditions or make some new ones with your friends and family in the Mile High City, where the season feels a whole lot more wonderful. Discover great hotels and more things to do at milehighholidays.com.
It's the Pop Culture Field, Welcome back, everybody, to the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast. We are so glad you could join us. We are sitting right here at the intersection of weapons, action, the military, and pop culture. Ladies and gentlemen, so there I was, sitting at home, a loser, doing nothing with my life. Then, on the TV screen, I saw it. Pacific Rim. And it was then that I decided to turn my life around and become an alcoholic who only drinks Jägermeister. And that's how it happens, my friends. You're going along living your life and you're exposed to some piece of pop culture that changes everything. Or a little bit, or nothing. Who knows? I don't know. So in this episode, folks, we are talking today about pop culture that has influenced us, or different pieces of pop culture that have influenced in our lives. So hopefully it'll get you thinking about the things that you are influenced by as you've grown.
Absolutely. Something to help you kick that raging alcoholic tendencies that you've adopted from watching Pacific Rim. I'm glad you recovered, Izzy.
Thanks. Now, I guess I just need to watch a lot less pop culture that has to do with alcohol.
Okay. That's amazing. But on a serious note, there are so many works that have been produced out there, whether it's in Hollywood or in the video game world, or even, in the novel and books. There are so many amazing stories that have been told and have yet to be told that hopefully come out in the future, but all extremely influential and, can make the user, or not even the user, but the listener or the watcher, the observer, put them in a new mindset to, accomplish whatever they want to get done. So I think this is going to be a very cool episode, and I hope, more importantly, it will be an influential episode.
Hey,
there it is. Zing, zing, zing.
That's the thing, though, Cameron, is one thing I've realized in my life is we are influenced, we are surrounded by things that are trying to influence us every day, all day, from the moment we're born on till the day we die. And you never know, it's never just like one thing. Sometimes there are those big, like, revelatory things, but usually those revelatory things, those big aha moments, are the end result of a bunch of little influences, little things that have kind of influenced you in one direction or another, or kind of giving you little ideas. It wasn't like the first time you saw it. It was like an incarnation, or maybe the thousandth time somebody said something that pushed you over the edge and help you make that decision, so. No,
absolutely. I mean, and on that note, you don't need some giant revelation, work of art to be inspired by. I mean, just looking at the world around us, the small things can have just as an impact as the big things. It's just, you need to know, obviously, what goals you have in mind to accomplish, and just like something as simple as making your bed in the morning.
Yes, Admiral McRaven, yep.
Yeah, McRaven as a public speaker. That was a very influential speech he gave. Yeah. And yeah, it's just like you said, it's something as simple as making your bed in the morning, because it gives you a baseline of discipline. And there's so many things. It's like wax on, wax off from Karate Kid. He's like, why am I doing this? It's so stupid. But then he's actually teaching him the art of martial arts in these everyday things. It's kind of looking past don't judge a book by its cover, essentially. But I'm excited to see the list you brought up, man. Let's start with you. What's something you got here that was influential to you? Maybe let's start at the beginning, shall we?
Yeah, I started, because we kind of focus on most of the time military pop culture. I'll start with hardcore military pop culture influences or things that have influenced me during my time in the military, and then I'll kind of broaden my spectrum from there. But my first one is Ender's Game, the novel
Game
by Orson Scott Card. It's actually, I didn't realize it was from 1985. I only read it I think I read it just before I went into the military, or maybe just after. It was right around the 2003 to 2005 or 6 range. Joined in 2005. Really amazing book. I think what happened is I was reading it, or I read, I think like somebody's commentary on it, where they were a soldier and they read the book while they were serving, and they really related to the idea of how far you should push soldiers or anybody training for something when the need is great, or when it's actually a very important kind of training that you need to undergo, versus the emotional and physical well-being of the person themselves. Like, how far is too far in the pursuit of either greatness or excellence or great need, right? Because in the book or the story, for those that don't know, it's the future, and there was this great war that happened, and there was this, the humanity almost got wiped out, and then from the ashes, humanity has risen up again, and they're this great intergalactic empire, but the threat has kind of come back again. I think it's like this kind of maybe like an insect type race that's like
the bugs
coming after them. Yeah, it's the bugs.
The bugs.
But
wrong movie.
So what they have done in preparation, once they've always known that this threat would return, so they have been like breeding people for like intelligence, like, guiding birth lines and stuff like that, and then training those people up. And so Ender Wiggin is the main character's name. He is like kind of the cream of the crop. Yeah, him and his siblings are the cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop. Sorry, I had to throw in a little bit of. Ooh, yeah, Randy.
You can't not use your whole body when you do a Randy.
When you do a Mandy Macho Man, you have to use the entire body. There's no such thing as a plain Macho Man impression.
He's moving his shoulders. He's like, oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah, let me tell you, intercontinental. Yeah, slap into a Slim Jim. Got you for 3 whole minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
Anyways, sorry. Continue. We were like in a serious thing, and I just got immediately triggered. The spirit of Macho Man Randy Savage just was in my body. It came upon me. I felt it.
I never want to shackle you. I love those random thoughts, because that's basically how I live my life. So
sure, of course. Keep going. Sorry for the interruption.
So yes, and so he and his siblings are some of the smartest people around, but he's only like 11 or 12 years old. So he's
a kid, right?
For this elite military training school, and it is just brutal. They push them to their limits. They don't take it easy on them. Not only that, but he has like personal conflicts with the other students who are like super competitive. And it even
are they all children?
Yeah, they're all children. They're all like 12, 13, 14 time period, because this threat is coming. And they just have to be pushed to their absolute limits, and they can't stop because the threat is coming. But at the same time, it's damaging and destructive to some of them, and to them and their psyche. And so,
sure.
And then the just to kind of wrap it up, but like at the end, the spoilers at the end, they say they've got this final training exercise. They've done all this training, so they have this very kind of super realistic gaming apparatus that looks like real ships, and they go and they say, this is your final one. If you can beat this, then you're ready for the final battle. And they do the whole thing, and they destroy the enemy, and it's this massive kind of battle that they really risk it all, but they win it all. And at the end, everyone's like celebrating and cheering. He's like, what's going on? He's like, we haven't told you the whole truth. What you just played wasn't the simulation. It was actually the battle happening. You were commanding the ships off in orbit, and thousands of lives were in your hand, and you did it, and they basically won. But at the very end,
kind of terrible,
yeah,
because like he could have totally killed everybody because he's like, oh, it's a simulation. If I give up, oh well,
Oh, well, we just start again. Yeah.
I mean, I'll just start again. It's a simulation. So a lot of, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it is. Well, the worst part is if I recall correctly, the ending of the novel, at least, they basically say, like, now that there is no more need of this, like, life that we've lived, like this kind of attitude of training these kids up, now that the conflict's over, we actually don't want you to come back because you are like kind of a relic of the old age, and we want to step into this new age of peace and this new mindset. So he actually just asks for a ship. He's like, I just want a ship with a hyperlight drive. I just going to go out into the universe and just kind of do my own thing.
Just be a hermit in the woods of space.
So it's just kind of like they needed him so much, but at the very end, they actually had to shun him because it was necessary to start this new society, So
sure.
That idea, basically, of like how far one is able to push, or when you're supposed to be pushing somebody when you're training, or when you are the trainer or the trainee, versus like what is actually healthy, has always just been an interesting conflict to me. And I think about that when I thought about my military training. I think about it now when I'm training out there, and then also just how I see, my view on military training today. It's influenced like the changes that I see going on in the military right now. And so it's also, if you want another good example of that personally, or like a smaller scale, Whiplash with Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's the same concept. It's that one's kind of more for personal greatness, or like to have this great piece of art that you're remembered by. But this one was more of like a military aspect. So that's number one on my list, Ender's Game.
Okay. Quick note about Whiplash. If you want to know what it's like, the dialogue between a fire team leader in regiment and a brand new private, the scene where he's on the drum and Miles Teller's like playing the drums. He's like, it's eighth notes, play eighth notes. And he's like, are you upset? And he's like, no. Yeah. He's like, well, you look upset. And he's like, oh, you a single tear guy? Jesus Christ. I watched that scene actually 2 days ago. It just popped up on my Facebook for some reason, because I think I was telling my dad about that movie because he's a musician, and it brought back some good memories of when I was a private, when I was a young Miles Teller. And
I was a young Miles Teller.
But that's great, man. Yeah, Ender's Game. So I know. So you said it was a novel, but then it came back as a movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a movie. It's got Harrison Ford in it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the movie does the book justice?
No.
Does it tell that same? Do you think the movie gives that same influential vibe that you got from the book, or is it more of a Hollywood piece?
Well, I'd say it falls more on the side of the Hollywood piece. Mm-hmm. They get the same basic idea because there's conversations about how far they're willing to go to push these kids, and they do get the kind of the space academy that they're at the beginning of the movie. I thought was well portrayed, but it loses something along the way, and I don't know that I have the wherewithal or movie knowledge to kind of. But it's it's the classic trope. It's not as good as the book, because when you have, my brother calls it your head canon. It's how the characters look and how things look in and feel in the novel, because you're imagining it, versus when somebody makes a vision of it in the movie, it's one person's vision or a group of people's vision. So
I got you.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, since we're on the topic of books, I think because you wanted to start in the beginning, this is towards for me personally now. So I guess I'll just start at the end, now, and then go to my beginning. But this is, kind of not related to pop culture, but in a way, I guess it is, just because there are pop culture pieces within. But I think the accessibility nowadays to audiobooks is, such an influential tool to individuals now, because me personally, I'm not a big reader. I don't have the discipline to sit down, when I could be doing something physical. I don't have the discipline to sit down, pick up a book, do nothing, and just read. It puts me to sleep, honestly, and it's terrible to say. I wish I was one of these giant bookworms that just, can pick up a 500-pager and just kill it in 3 days and just go book after book every week after week. That's not the case for me. I'm too stupid to do that. But I'm so thankful that audiobooks have taken such a sprint, because when I was a kid, audiobooks were, you had to go to the library and, get the cassettes or the Walkmans and listen to them in the library because you couldn't afford a Walkman. So like you just had to sit there and it was just, you couldn't do it anywhere. But nowadays you have apps like Audible where, there's no books that are off limits, and you can listen to them whether you're in the car, which that's typically what I do. You're probably listening to this podcast in the car. Don't shut it off to listen to an audiobook. Keep listening to the podcast. But
listen to us talk.
Yeah, just the accessibility of, all these amazing pieces, because you have, authors, motivational authors, you have amazing stories. And I think, at the beginning we mentioned how, there's so many untold stories and so many stories that were told that are extremely influential. And now you have authors that had firsthand knowledge of these events that are so, inspirational and motivational, and they're telling it from pretty much their perspective. And that's all accessible to you now, anywhere at any time. One audiobook that I think was influential to me, I have two. I'll just mention one book in general that I think you should read, and I've mentioned it before, but it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It was, I believe, written way, way back in the day, but shit hasn't changed when it comes to people and how you interact with them and how do you influence them and how do you get them on your side. It's a really good book that I had to read or listen to, I guess. My choice. Listen to when I was going through business school. And that was, I think, the most important piece of information I took out of all my 2 years at Pepperdine University was just the lessons that book taught. So, but that's not the book I want to talk about, but you should definitely check that out if you're interested in it. Like I said, it's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. But the book I wanted to mention is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Now,
David
Goggins, everybody knows the Gogmeister, right? Fucking stay hard. That
hard,
guy.
baby.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was a big fan of his book, because David Goggins didn't do much operationally in the SEALs. He did one tour and he, had a reputation that I've heard of. He wasn't that much of a team player, but from an individual perspective, the dude is an animal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the things he's done they almost generate of legend, right? You're like, there's no way people are capable of that. Yeah. But the thing that got me was he wasn't born this way.
Yes.
Like, he is a normal guy. He started out over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
He worked just like every single one of us has the capability to do. And he put in the time and he had the discipline. And most importantly, he was extremely consistent in his will to achieve his goal of going to Buds. And then not only failing Buds the first time by being recycled, but he went through multiple times. And then eventually getting to the SEAL teams and then racing his ultra marathons and doing, what was the race that was like something, it was so crazy.
Ironman?
Not the Ironman, it's in Death Valley. It's like a 100-mile race in Death Valley. That's like one of the hardest ultra marathons that is out there right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. If you're listening to this and you know what I'm talking about, just shoot us a message because I cannot think of it off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, get a hold of us on Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, just his story, being a young African-American growing up, and his dad was extremely abusive, and his mom, the superwoman that she was, just running and trying to provide for him still. That was such an influential story because I think it all goes back to, this guy's a normal dude,
right.
And I think it's not just with David Goggins. All these stories we hear of people that you think have superpowers, you're like, there's no way that I'm capable of that as a listener or a reader. That's absolutely false. Because we are all made of the same. We're all made of the same meat,
The basic stuff, man. We all have
basic stuff,
ingredients. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have the capabilities to accomplish these things. And I think, and that was the most motivational thing of it. It's just his mindset is you can't literally, no matter what shit gets thrown at me, you can't hurt me.
Yeah.
So that book, after I got out of the military, And I think all the veterans, especially if you're a veteran that got out listening to this podcast, you know, we all go through it where, you know, you're told you're the best of the best and everybody thanks you. And then you get out and you're like, well, what the fuck do I do now? Yeah. And then, you know, it's hard. I'm not going to say it's not. But then again, doing hard stuff was what made us great in the first place. So it's just kind of, you know, taking that mindset, you know, Goggins really was an example of it, and just, you know, being a product of hard shit. So that, which makes you a hard person, which at the end of the day gives you a step over everyone. So yeah, I think Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins was a great listen for me, like I said, because I don't fucking read. But very influential in my post-military service here, because yeah, you ain't done, son, if you get out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's something that I'm thankful for him for, just generally hearing about his life, as he's become successful even after his military service. And it's like, just because you're done with your military service doesn't mean it's over.
Yeah.
You can do even greater things and have even greater impact if you want to, if you
put in the work. That's where I'm at right now. Cause like, after all this training I've been doing, which I can't really mention what it's for yet, but I'm very excited for everybody listening to this. Just know some very exciting things are in the works. But for what I'm training for right now, like, I'm getting back to where I used to be. And when I got out, you know, 1-2 years after I got out, my mindset was, oh, well, the good days are done, you know. But it's kind of depressing thinking about it, because, you know, why, if I'm so focused on living in the past, how am I ever going to be excited about the future? So now I'm just all about, you know, putting the good times in front of me, instead of just, you know, acting like that was the pinnacle of where I will ever be in the rest of my life. So
and also appreciating right now.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean? Like, we can get fixated on the past. We can get super obsessed with the future. But then sometimes we risk not appreciating everything that's happening right now, everything that we have right now, you know, the opportunities, the people in our life, the growth that we're experiencing, you know. So yeah, it's important to, both are important. You got to balance those things, you know.
Oh yeah.
Getting excited about the future, and then being like, because like right now, life is, for me, circumstantially at least, things are good, man. You know,
things are good. Nothing to complain about.
Appreciate. Yeah, I just want to practice that gratitude.
Absolutely. So then that was my first one. Izzy, what's your second influential thing here on your list?
The second one is this is a piece of paraphernalia that I had during my time in the military, and it was some dog tags, like novelty dog tags that had kind of the first part of Psalm 91 in them. For those of you who don't know, Psalm 91 is often called the soldier's prayer, because there's a lot of descriptive language about protection from harm. You know, he who shelters in the shadow of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. And there's talked about, you know, physical protection from disease and physical harm. And so people take that kind of literally, and it's kind of just like a prayer for like protection and victory out on the battlefield. But I had a pair of these dog tags, and I don't know exactly where I got them from, but I just remember there were a couple, like I think I got them in basic training at the chapel, and they would have like some of them laid out, and they'd have different scriptures on them. And I had a few of them at the time, but then the Psalm 91 one was like, I got to get rid of some of these because I have like 12 dog tags. And that was the one that I kept. And I kept that my entire time in service. And it was just one of those things, like when you're ruck marching, you're training, or late at night, you know, out at Camp McCall, it just kind of would just like kind of float through my head, you know. And I had large swaths of it memorized. It's a couple verses long, but
sure.
It was just nice. It was really a comfort and an inspiration to me. Not that I was ever, I can't ever say that I was ever like worried about like dying or getting hurt, because I don't think I was that. I didn't comprehend it. I couldn't comprehend it. I wasn't that smart to think about my own demise. Sure. But, you know, it was cool. It kind of helped to ground me, you know, in my faith when I was going through the military. And, and it kind of, saw me through those, some tough times where you're just like out in the field, or you're bored, or you're maybe like you have a setback and you need a little something, it kind of pops into your mind. It was good like that I drilled it in there. So, you could say that the Bible is one of the most popular pieces of pop culture, maybe.
Well, I do have something to say about that because so those of you who know me now, I am not religious by any means. Israel has enough for Jesus Christ in him to handle the both of us. That's how I see it. But I was actually pretty religious. I considered myself a Christian when I was going through the military. I actually have one of my first tattoos was a Bible verse. It's Philippians 4:13. I got it because when I would go to church in basic training on Sundays, it was kind of an escape from the drill sergeants, an escape from the bullshit. And then also I heard they were giving out bagels. So that was the main motivation for going there. And I would just sleep in the back sometimes. But after getting there, yeah, terrible. But after getting there, they used to chant this verse, Philippians 4:13. It means I can do all things things through God who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And they would chant that. And actually, church started reminding me of my family back home because my dad's very religious. So it was kind of just like it made me feel like I was at home. So I got that Bible verse tattooed on me because it was a big part of my basic training. And then I remember when I was going through RASP, I was still pretty religious, and I was doing the ruck marches, and I would just whenever I felt down or when I felt tired, I would just repeat that verse in my head, and then I would feel like this strength overcome me, and I would just go crazy. But then I deployed, got to a combat zone, and I'm like, religion's a fucking crutch. Just kidding, but it changed my perception definitely, and what I looked for. This is just me personally, but what I looked for in a quote unquote God, I kind of even this might sound selfish, but I kind of found self-power just in myself. Instead of saying like God strengthened me, I just looked inside and I was like, hey.
In today's economy, cash flow is tight, and families are held captive to high interest rate credit card debt. Churchill Mortgage can restructure your current mortgage and significantly reduce these problems. Get a free analysis and learn how to eliminate credit card interest rates, lower bills, and start taking control of your budget. Get started at churchillmortgage.com. This is a paid advertisement. NMLS ID 1591. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing lender. 1749 Mallory Lane, Suite 100, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027.
Get the fuck up, But that was that. But yeah, religion had an influence on me too, going through basic. I think if you are a believer or you have faith, that's definitely something to hold on to during whether you're a service member or you're going through something challenging. One thing I do appreciate now about religion is it gives people purpose, which is super hard to find anyways. And in my opinion, whatever gets you to do what you need to do, I'm all about. So me personally, it's not my life choice now. Maybe a few years down the line, I'll find some JC again. I'll feel like I'll need some JC. Right now, I'm good. But no, I appreciate you bringing that up because I know you are an amazing individual. And I really appreciate the fact that you love to share what gets you through it as Israel, right? And, majority of people in the United States and even in the world as Christianity is huge. I think it's good. But that's a little bit about, no problem. But that's me.
Give me more of your perspective. Let me know let's do another one of yours on your list. We start at the bottom, but we're kind of working our way up.
Sure.
The list.
Okay, let's see here. So we talked about airsoft was huge to me because living in California, firearms are very they're not the best. Yeah, they're not anywhere where they need to be. I should be able to drive an M1 Abrams tank when I turn 18. Right. That's my opinion.
That's right. Carry around a chain gun.
Yeah, but I had to do what I had to do to get close to what I wanted, which, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be in the military. And I knew that involved getting very tactically proficient with a weapon. And, my family never owned guns growing up. My dad's German. My mom, the only gun she had in her life was a 22 because she grew up in the motherfucking hood, boy. But and she didn't have that gun anymore. Like, we had 0 weapons in the house at all times. The only weapon I had was a bow and arrow because I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings. And I remember Legolas, instead of Santa Claus for Christmas, gave me a bow and arrow.
Yes.
So like I got pretty good with a bow, but then, I was like, well, they don't use bows anymore. They're a little outdated in the Army. So the closest I could get to weapons was airsoft. And paintball wasn't realistic to me, even though it was faster pace, but I wanted something that, would be as close as possible. So I just went down this rabbit hole of obsession with airsoft. And, I had 1-for-1 scale AKs, 1-for-1 scale M4s. I had the kit, I had chest rigs, I had a helmet, I had, I was deep into it, and it really allowed me to submerge myself just in that culture and lifestyle, because I would, practice mag changes, and I would, practice clearing rooms with an airsoft gun growing up, just because I didn't have access to it being a child, and I didn't have actually any exposure to real firearms. But, I really like how the airsoft community now is basically considered part of the firearms community, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of big influencers in the firearms community. They're kind of reaching their hands across the aisle to make friendships and relationships.
Absolutely. I'm glad, better late than ever, if you ask me. But, it was like back then, they called real guns real steel. And like, there was a huge separation between it. It was like, you're an airsoft or you're dumb. You got to get real guns if you want to be cool. But now it's like real firearm enthusiasts also have mock-ups and airsoft versions of their gun because it's a great training tool. And I'm glad we finally, have come to this agreement, if you will, between the firearms community and the airsoft community that like we can come together and it's okay, but growing up, airsoft was huge to me because that's where I like found out about Magpul Dynamics, where Travis Haley was. I knew about Travis Haley when I was 13 years old.
No kidding, really? Oh,
yeah. Yeah, because it was him and Chris Costa running Magpul Dynamics, and they were like the pinnacle of firearms training. So I would literally, watch anything I could on Magpul Dynamics growing up, because there you had to buy the DVD, but I'd like, some people would upload burners and I would just watch them, and I'd watch the trailers and I'd try to emulate everything they're doing just with my airsoft guns. And it actually paid off in dividends, because when I was in RASP and during marksmanship week, in basic training, I was one of 3 in the entire battalion that got expert. And I feel like that was because I was so comfortable with weapons and I knew exactly what I needed to do. And obviously there was stuff to learn about real guns, but I just had that level of comfort with them. And then moving on to RASP, like when we got into really dynamic shooting and, actually running, they ran a stress shoot and I smoked everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. I smoked everybody in that fucking class.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was just because I was so comfortable. I was literally in my element, and I absolutely dedicated to the hours, the hundreds and the thousands of hours I dedicated to, looking into airsoft as a kid. It totally skyrocketed. It skyrocketed my interest when I got in, because I went even deeper into the real hole. But now I'm older and I have money and I can actually buy real guns. So it's pretty much, airsoft made me the monster I am today.
Yes.
And it was so influential to me. So I'm pretty glad. So if you're younger listening to this, I highly recommend you look into it, just because it is an amazing training tool, and whatever you can do now before you go there will just help you in the long run. I'm a big fan of airsoft, and that's why I find myself now being cadre for airsoft events. And it's funny, all the dudes I watch growing up are like my peers now. It's fucking nuts.
That's awesome, man. Well, so let me ask you a real side note real quick before we get into our question in our game.
Sure.
What was it like when you first met Travis Haley?
Oh, dude.
I didn't know he existed.
Really?
Before you invited me to that photo shoot last year, I was like, oh, Travis Haley, who's that? You know, and so what was it like for you? Because you knew who he was.
I knew who he was. I knew exactly, what he's done. It was like meeting a celebrity, kind of. And I still think because the dude is so proficient. And I mean, we've spent a lot of time with him. I think, we did, for the listeners that don't know, we did the Haley Strategic, the Thorax plate carrier. We did some marketing and videos with them for that. And then we also got a chance coming back with Gameology and working with him and Jim Fuller at Fuller Phoenix and doing, an expert's try with the guns from Call of Duty, Battlefield, Tarkov, Squad.
Yeah,
and we got to shoot them. Yeah, check that out on YouTube. It was a blast. So yeah, it was just, like I said, it's almost surreal that my idols growing up are now like my peers. I wouldn't consider Travis my peer, but
he's still an idol.
But we hosted a show together, so
that's right. He's a co-host.
Yeah, we co-hosted together, so that was like a dream come true for me. So yeah, amazing. It was fucking crazy.
Oh, that's awesome, Cameron. What a great story, man. I love hearing kind of your journey, and that sounds like it was a big influence for you.
Huge.
All right, team. Now we've come to the portion of the show. We're going to do a quick shout out to one of our Patreon subscribers. That's Salty Sergeant Ian, who joined us here in the month of November 2022. We are glad to have you, Ian. More people joining all the time. We love to shout them out in the podcast. And we have a fan question. This is from... This is from just some guy, 3215, who got a hold of us on Instagram. And this person asks, who are some of your biggest influences in your personal life? I think he must be talking about like people. Like, was there ever anybody, maybe one person, we could just do one apiece, of like a person that like changed your life, influenced you in some way, changed your idea about life, or kind of put you in the right direction? Something like that, or even in a negative way.
Way to put me on the spot. Cause
I can go first.
You go first, because mine's kind of, I don't want to say it's generic, but yeah, I'll let you go.
You know what? I got a certain one actually. I changed just at the last second, but there was a moment. I'm gonna talk about Travis Haley. There was a moment when we were doing the photo shoot that I still remember. But it was just probably just a moment for him, but it really influenced me. Like I've dealt with a lot of fear, a lot of insecurity, a lot of uncertainty in my life. And when we were out there in the ravine shooting kind of the exfil run, like we were running there.
When the 50 cal was shooting over our heads.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the grenade.
The 203. You had the grenade launcher. You had the 203. Yeah.
And he asked me just casually, "Hey, you want to shoot a few rounds off?" And I just said, yeah, but like, I was like, oh man, I haven't manipulated this thing in a long time.
Yeah, it's been
and
a
he
while.
He's like, all right, and he started giving me rounds and stuff. And I just had to like look at it and just remember real quick and open it up, and put the round in. And then he's like, all right, fire off a round. And the respect that he gave me just like, oh, you're just like me. You're a soldier. You know what you're doing, really ignited this fervor within me. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Okay, I'm gonna do this right now. Even though, I was like kind of feeling like a little sheepish, because I'm like, I'm this guy. I've been out for 12 years. I'm with these dudes that are mostly elite soldiers, and it was just like a cool moment where it was like, it's just one of those reminders that I need that has helped me in my journey to conquer fear on a daily basis, of like, I got this. I'm a professional. I can do this. I know this stuff, right? It's in there. It's in my head. And so that was just a cool moment. So thank you, Travis Haley, for, just treating me like a peer, treating me like just one of the guys. And because that was like a really good moment for me. So,
yeah. I mean, every time we go to Haley Strategic, just talking, that dude is just, he's like an oracle. It's so
he's a
weird.
Wealth of knowledge. He's like a wealth of knowledge on the outside of town that you walk up to. You walk up the mountain to talk to him if you need advice on life.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about individuals, Travis Haley is extremely influential. Every time we talk with him, we end up going down rabbit holes on his roof at night smoking cigars. And the dude is just so full of knowledge. So he's extremely, influential. For me, it's kind of hard to pick one person, because I'm at the point of my life right now where, I feel like I'm growing at a rate, or at least I'm trying to grow. And that's like my goal right now, is just personal growth. My fiance, If I wanted to pick someone to highlight, my fiance absolutely is extremely influential to me. She pretty much makes it happen. Like, she is the reason I am growing. Because I think about, like, when I first met her, I was still a shithead. I got out of Ranger Regiment, I was getting in some trouble, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, I was a fucking Ranger. And I was in that mindset of looking in the rear view and just saying, like, I was a Ranger. Still am. I appreciate my service, but that's not my identity anymore. And she forced me to really, take a look in the mirror and be like, who are you? So yeah, the most influential person right now in my life is my fiance, because she's even though she's younger than me, she's in medical school and she's doing it. And she's making her dreams come true, one day at a time. So I'm really thankful for her, because she's just put me on she's pretty much gotten me here. Otherwise, I'd probably be working at 9 to 5 in security still and not fucking doing shit.
On, man.
Yeah, but on that topic of growth, she's put me into that mindset. But I kind of, everybody that's around me now, our production team, I just surround myself. The guys I'm working with for my special project, I'm kind of just surrounding myself with people that influence me. I don't really have an individual that takes the cake. I just put myself around everyone that is better than me, essentially. Just because, it was funny because I was in the gym the other day, and there's like these couple of guys deadlifting next to me, and they were saying some shit that I was just like, just listening, because I'm not wearing headphones anymore in the gym, because I'm trying to be a fucking tough guy, and I'm like, well, I don't want music to, I don't want to have to distract myself I just want to live in the moment, I just want to feel this pain. So like, I wasn't wearing headphones. And he was just like, talking about how everybody's so strong at this gym, and that he might go back to Gold's Gym because he's the strongest guy in that gym, and it makes him feel good. And I'm just like, you're in the wrong fucking place. I wanted to be like, turn around, like, you're in the wrong fucking place, buddy. I was like, the reason I go to this gym is because everybody's stronger than me. And it's, you surround yourself with people you want to be now. So I think, I don't have one person. I just try to put myself around people who are influential, people that are doing much more than me, because at the end of the day, it just makes me want it that much more, and it makes me want to work that much more. So I hope that answers that question.
Dude, that's a good answer to that question, man. And I think good sage advice for anybody, socially speaking. Like, they say that you become like you're a product of your environment. You're a product of your environment. Yeah, you're the product of like the 7 closest people to you or whatever. Like, we are influenced by the people that we hang out with. So if you're out there right now and you're listening to this, and you know that you're hanging out with a bunch of dirt bags that aren't going anywhere,
they're just gonna
you better get out of that situation, man.
Because they're just gonna pull you down, dude.
Yeah, for your good and for their good too. Because nobody, we're just gonna keep drag each other down.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a personal thing. You don't have to like turn into a blow up and be like, fuck you, you're not doing anything good for me. It's just like, I had that point in my life where I was there hanging out with some people, and it's just like, we're on different playing fields now, at least personally, I feel, and I'm not the person I used to be, which was just, I just wanted to party and lift weights. And now I'm just like, all I want to do is be successful and lift weights. So, and party too, obviously with my fiance. But it's just like, I just feel like I'm at a level, and it's nothing against them. It's just, I feel like we don't, I need to go. I need to grow. But yeah, we hope that answers that question. Just some guy 3215, which you aren't just some guy. You are amazing.
Yeah,
just
that's
kidding.
right.
We don't know.
Just some guy to us.
Yeah, but great. We have come to the point in the podcast where we have our game. Izzy.
Yes. And the game is mine.
The game is yours.
But
Good.
The game is yours. But maybe the day will be yours. But this one is called. I call this one. This is for you, Cameron. I called this one Big D Energy.
Big D Energy
edition. Yeah, it's the influencer edition. So.
Oh God.
This is basically what I'm going to do. Is I went out and found a couple of military-based influencers out there, and I tried to look at which sites like had the most amount of followers. So. I'm going to give you an influencer. It's multiple choice, all right? I'm going to tell you who the influencer is, what the platform is, and you have to tell me how many followers they have.
Oh, my God. I'm going to fail all this.
Hey, you know what?
But it's okay. You know what?
You never know.
You never know. You never know.
Some of them might be easy. Some of them might be hard, but we'll find out who has the biggest social influencers.
Who is the biggest clout chaser? Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so the first one, this is the warm-up. This is How many followers do you think Nico Ortiz has on his TikTok? I'm going to say
on
A
the TikTok.
Yep.
Oh, I have multiple choice.
Multiple choice. Always
I thought it was just I would have to come up
you
with
just
a
have
number.
to randomly. No, I didn't want to be too harsh on you. That numbers won the game that we had a couple weeks ago. That was rough,
That was rough. Yeah.
So A is 1 million. B, 2 million. C, 3 million. Or D, 3.2 million.
Well, D is very specific. I know Nico Ortiz, he's hilarious.
Yep.
Great
dude. Big.
Great dude.
Lots of influence over TikTok.
Lots of influence over TikTok. I mean, he's everywhere. He's on YouTube Shorts, YouTube.
Yeah,
he's got a gaming
Twitch
channel.
now a lot too, yeah.
Yeah, he's on Twitch. He's on TikTok. He actually, he made a video about me.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Talking about you. He's like, my boy Cam. He made like your outfit.
Yeah, he
for
made my
Squad
outfit
Insurgency.
in was it Insurgency? There was something. It was either on Ground Branch or Insurgency, but yeah, he made my kit from Syria, which was, I felt honored. But yeah, I'll go with D, 3.2 mil, because I know he started out on TikTok. I'm pretty sure that's his primary
his main
social.
one, yeah.
So I'm gonna go with D, 3.2.
You are wrong. I fooled you.
My God.
He only has 3 million.
Only
I tried
3.
to put the specificity down there to throw you off, but he has 3 million followers on TikTok as of last night when I checked it. But
Oh, okay. Well, good for him, man. Yeah, 3 mil. What an achievement. Good for him. I'm glad he's doing really well.
so this is more kind of think about like how big you think they are, how how big, it compared to other influencers or other military influencers. The first one, this is the first official one. We'll do just a couple of these. David Goggins. Instagram. David
on
Goggins
Instagram.
Yep. Does he have A, 10.1 million? B,
Wow.
2.7 million? C, 5.4 million? Or D, 6.7 million?
Ooh.
How big is he? How big is his D?
How
Or
big's his D?
his
B,
S.
how big's his E? His BDE. Goggins been everywhere. Goggins been on Rogan. Goggins, has. I mean, he has
He's got
his
2
reaches.
books out right now. I
He's
think,
got
or
2 books.
Another one coming
One
out.
book and another one coming out. I'm gonna go ahead and say, what was the one with 5.4?
So that was C, 5.4 million.
I'm gonna go with C because I think that's realistic because his reach is out crazy.
You are correct. It is
Boom!
5.4 million on his Instagram. Yep.
That sounds correct.
5.4 million.
As I sit here
thousands
and
of
Google
videos.
these guys' Instagrams on my phone. No, I'm not cheating. That was straight guess. Good. I'm glad.
If you did, you'd see all his shirtless running videos, which I love. I love those.
Yeah, telling me I'm a fat ass piece of shit and I need to get up.
Still, you're not hard. You got to stay hard. Okay.
Stay hard.
Next up, Grand Thumb's YouTube channel. So Grand Thumb, he's like one of the premier gun tubers, man. He always has the best analysis of all sorts of great weapons. So does he have A, 2.49 million, B, 3.1 million, C, 2 million, or D, 4.3 million followers, subscribers on YouTube? 2.49, 3.1, 2 million.
Oh man, this is gonna be a tough one because they're pretty close together.
Yeah.
I remember the last time I checked, which was a while ago, and he was definitely over mil, definitely over 2, I think. I'm gonna go with 2.49 because of the M249 saw.
That's a good, and that is correct. A.
Oh,
2.49
nice.
million subscribers on YouTube and
How
growing.
appropriate too, because he just came out with a 249
He
saw
did.
video. So I'm glad I went with that. So
I
cool,
didn't even
nice,
realize
good for
that,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And good for you, Cam. You're doing very well, sir. You're 2 out of 3 so far. So the next one, actually, you're 2 out of 2 because you just
2 out of
didn't
2.
even,
The warm-up.
Yeah. So you're 2 out of 2. So number 3, the man himself, Jocko Willink, Instagram. Jocko Willink's Instagram. Does he have A, 3.1 million? B, 6 million? C, 1.4 million? Or D, 2.6 million?
I think Jocko's well known. I don't think he's as known as Goggins though.
Okay.
Because Goggins was what, 5.4? That was
5.4
his.
for Goggins, yep.
And I'm gonna go ahead
3.1
and
million, 6 million, 1.4 million, or 2.6 million?
it's interesting because I looked at Jocko's profile the other day for some reason. I don't remember what it was. Because he's got his podcast. He's been on multiple different podcasts. He's got so many different brands. He wakes up at 4 every day, and he has
Lots
and
of
he
pictures
doesn't
of his
think.
watch.
Yeah, pictures of his watch, and he doesn't think. He just
does.
does. You know what? I'm gonna go on the lower end and say 1.49.
That was C, 1.4 million.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Okay. That is incorrect.
Incorrect.
It's D, 2.6 million followers.
Oh,
on
okay.
Instagram. 2.6
Almost there. I was almost there.
2.6 million people looking at pictures of his watch. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, 2.6. Yeah, Jocko's pretty big. Yeah, he just started his own like supplement line, and he's huge into jiu-jitsu. I like Jocko, and he's very easy to impersonate.
He is, yeah. And these guys are good examples. Like, we got to get it. We got to find out, like, as we grow, like, all these guys they have something that they do, like some sort of specialty kind of thing, something that sets them apart a little bit. Like Jocko, he does like the jiu-jitsu, and I don't know David Goggins what else he does, but he runs a lot. He's very athletic, and Garantham's into the weapons.
He writes books.
He writes books. That's what he does. Yeah, Navy SEALs. That's what they do. They work out and they write books.
Absolutely.
All right, last one. This one is administrative results. Oh my God, hold on.
249K.
What's that?
249,000 subscribers
249 on YouTube. Is that you're just going to say that
on
right
YouTube.
away?
I think so. It's either 249 or 279 because I looked yesterday because I wanted to reach out to him and say what's up.
Oh, that's great, man. Well, let me give you the answers real quick. A,
Okay.
511K, B, 274K, C, 187K, or D, 420K.
274,000.
Yeah, that is correct. You got it. I didn't highlight it, so I had to look it up real quick. But
Oh, man. Yeah, no,
All the
I
other
actually
ones are
looked
fake.
yesterday because he
Oh,
posted a
okay.
cool video of him doing his night vision setup. And I was like, how's this guy doing? Because for those of you that don't know, we actually met Administrative
Yes.
Results in Arizona filming Lethal Antiquities for Shift Fire.
yeah.
Yeah, that was what, a year
to be
ago?
out there filming his thing out there that day.
Yeah. Like we are in his video and then he's in our video.
Yeah.
So I was seeing how he's doing because he's putting out some amazing content. I'm super stoked about the Talking Balaclava, dude. He's awesome.
He's great.
Really nice guy. Hopefully we can get him. We can do something with him again.
That would be awesome, dude.
That would be awesome. Yeah, he's a stand-up dude. But yeah, I'm super glad that I looked that up literally yesterday.
Good for you, Ken.
Wasn't comparing Shift Fire to him at all. That wasn't the deal.
I think you are. I think you're 3 out of 4, man. Good for you.
Okay, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, good job, Cam. That's
Yeah.
I just lost my train of thought.
Oh,
That's it. That's the game. That's the game.
Awesome, dude. Well, good on you for coming up with that game. Not to saying I idolize these people, but I really am influenced by them. So they're doing their jobs.
Yes, they are. Yeah, for both of us.
Absolutely. Well, that was fun, man. Thanks for doing that game. And folks, thanks for listening into this episode of the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast. To our patrons, we want to say thank you so much for joining us and
very much.
subscribing, because that means you've gotten to the end of this episode because you have access to the full-length episode. So again, thank you. We look forward to seeing you at this month's movie stream. Hopefully you can join us.
Yep.
Izzy, you got anything?
Just one more thing, Cameron. Cue music. What's going on, everybody? You just listened to the free version of the PCFM podcast. If you want full-length versions of podcast episodes, plus much, much more, head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/PCFM podcast.
That is right, Israel. If you want access to this full episode, you have to subscribe to the Fuzzy Private tier, which is our cheapest tier on Patreon at $5 a month. But if you are interested in a little bit more, we also have the Salty Sergeant tier at $8 a month and the Lifer tier at $12 a month. So hopefully we will see you there, PCFM family. Cue music.